This is Manifest, where light screams boldly from broken jars of clay, set in the dark ablaze. It is Revelation Army, furry lambs with eagle's wings marching head on into the wolf's lair, led by a lion. This is unapologetic royalty, dripping with living blood, promising to leave you in awe. Some transformation, pour molten gold into clay cups and watch it take form. Let this brim fill up and spill hope. In these combusting crucibles, the world shall see God. This is Manifest, overflowing into your space. This is God in your face, ready to break chains. This is everlasting promise come true. You're saved. This is Manifest, burning house on hilltops, tasting salty. You will see it, you will taste it, you will feel it. God and man did this.
Please listen. Flatten your smiles a little. Fold your arms as you fix those eyes and listen. Today will never come again. Like a moving train, it would pass, loud and present, and will never come again, but we sit, watching, waiting for the next train. Not today, because we are waiting for the next day, and time grows older. The day of our Lord comes closer. See, my dad once told me a story of a king who made a feast. And this was no ordinary feast. The food could heal anyone who eats. There were life-giving gifts. The ground was lit. If you walked on it, you'd be free from every ill. The heavens were opened. And this king was ready to bless every guest with the power he was holding. His crown was golden and ready to deliver. His garments shining like they were made from silver. But this king called his servants and said, "Go and tell my friends of this feast, for I want them to be the first guest." And with speed like an aircraft, the servant hurried. He was touching his head to do as his master said. But he knocked on the first door, and no one answered. Another friend asked if the feast could be moved till the next day. The third friend said GOT was airing that night and he could not miss it. See, when you become good at making excuses, it's hard to excel at anything else. When you become good at making excuses, it's hard to excel at anything else. Flee from this sort of attitude. I expect nothing less. For by these reasons, we have fallen one way or another. And time waits for no one. Time grows older. The day of our Lord comes closer. Please listen and understand that we're losing. The world we live in needs no introduction. It's a hub where wickedness is the tradition. It's a market. And the currency is corruption. It's painted red with the bloods of innocents and lip gloss of adolescents. It's soaked in sin and stamped with a seal of death. It's the playground of the devil and our temporary residential address. The world we live in is sick. And from today, that has to change, and change begins with you, but the world is changing you too. To the trends of worldliness, you now conform. You're only feeling as a Christian when you're ticking a form. The darkness is growing. And you can't fight this enemy if you're still at war with yourself. Please listen. If I also bring good news. Amidst this decay and darkness, there is a light. One that shines brighter than the sun in summer. One that is far more reliable than NEPA. One that lives forever. That light is the word of God. That light is Christ, sent to us by God to give us his life, to blind any eye that wants to see us in strife. That light shines bright in the darkness. Until date, the darkness cannot comprehend it. That light is here. I said that light is here. And you who have heard and seen this light must carry it with you every day, for we are through Christ the light of the world and should not stay hidden. So do not hide behind the walls of tomorrow. Do not hide behind excuses. Remember the king from my story. He was disappointed when the servant said the friends could not come. But he gave away the feast to those who didn't have, the needy, the poor. See, Penspeak 2019 is a feast. And it is no ordinary feast. The food, the spoken word of God will heal everyone who hears. The joy of the Spirit to wipe away every tear. Cast away your fears and drop those limitations. The devil can't come here to steal. It's strictly by invitation. The heavens are opened. So open your hearts and share this feast every day of your life, at school, at work, the way you live, the way you talk, in every little way. Share this feast. Everything said here has been said before. It's the same story from a different tongue. It's like the same lyrics in a different song, but listen again. God says to you, manifest. So start today, not tomorrow, not the next. Today. Thank you.
I cried out in a loud thrill, clinching alarm as everything came to a still. Comrades catapulted into the throes of battle, ready to settle a score with an enemy, but alas, into the gallant of fools we marched and no one was found in sight. The enemy unseen and unknown struck our soul, and we're left for the bitter rhythm of defeat to console. Leads on our head, sears across our heart, we were held captive. It was a battle distorting our minds, a ravaging war of no mankind. So it dawned on us when we realized our sins and addictions were the ugly foes. So we sought for help from the wise and scribes, and they armed us with the do's and don'ts of the law. Yet the sting of sin struck us hard still, such that our cry filled every crack as we plunged further into the dark. Watch out, comrades! I cried out again in triumph, for right there, shining through in the cloud, was the light of a star, directing our hearts to his manger. A place of grace and truth, the lamp of God slew sins with nails driven into his hands, and as he was beaten blow after blow into his glorious image, we were formed slow, and our spirits glowed. For us, his life he lost, and like an ionic combination, we received a donated electron-like charge that quickened our mortal bodies to spew out the bite of deception. But in this miraculous equation, he went through substitution, reaction, and did a subtraction of sin, a divine multiplication of life like him on earth we are seen. So we arose a triplet structure, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and incomprehensible nature. See, grace was with us the moment we began our race. So each plighty phase and dangers we faced, he was there to save. He gave us the rod that parted the sea, led us through the wilderness to see that the promised land from the beginning has always been in him. He healed us of our disease and was our release from the chain of condemnation that stole our ease. He was the bridge that connected us to God's reach, so we experienced grace in our hearts exceedingly rich. But here you are, guilty about your past, messing up with your present and trying to negate your future. For there is a place where broken men are mended and made. The place is in Christ. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run into it and are saved. So if you are still struggling, know that you have been running solo. His Spirit was given to you to guide and follow. The Spirit of God who hovered the world devoid of form, but effected a change as what was spoken from the mouth of the Father. And bit by bit you were coupled into the exact design of his Son. And God saw that it was good. Devil shot, missed. His bullet proved on that cross that he wasn't a good gunman after all. Every stone he flinched, built up the tomb that swallowed up his own devices and rendered it of no effect. Target missed, because death could not hold the Son of Man. Yes, the Son of Man. I call him my favorite Jack Bauer of 24 hours. This king did not cower but endured till death, even the death of the cross. From the track, he did not sleep, neither did he slumber. He is the lamp of God that takes away the sins of the world. You can liken him to a lion, you are no wrong still, because he was the third man in the fire. He wears a stripe of compassion from the lashes he has received, which made a passage of power that entered into you and healed you. So my comrades asked, what has happened to you? I replied, I went into the potter's house and I was Harry Pottered into a man made by God. So, because I believe the word of truth demonstrated in power by the one that is mighty to save, and into a God superior to the natural, I was made.
I've always said it, that the proliferation of every art depends on the quality that the creative is engaging the culture with. So my experience about the tour this year has been one of pride in the strides of christapoet as the hosts of the event, and pride in the growth of the tour poets as esteemed contributors. When we moved on to the venues, I was encouraged by the turnout because it showed that there is the rising interest from people in spoken word poetry. So I think every artist, every performance poet, every performance artist can use this kind of encouragement when they see the kind of interest people have, good enough to bring them to venues for events like this.
I know it's been said that you only got just one shot to make a first impression. Well, that is why I'm twice as grateful each time I count my blessings. One of them is the reason I stay excused from myself inclusive. So let's zoom into yourself, fee for a beat short, sweet and simple.
The title of my piece is No More Selfies. The inspiration behind that piece is because I know that as instruments of God's worship, saints can come to the point where they get overwhelmed by pressures from their different ventures. So when you come to the point where you are at the end of your strength, you really could use God's grace. So no more selfies is actually just a metaphorical way of saying no to yourself, no to your strength, no to your mind, no to your abilities to be the only reason why you can deal with life. So there will always be that point where you get to and you could use God's strength. So no more selfies is just an ample statement of the fact that we will always use God's grace to deal well. So it's just an emphasis on the futility of strength and the essence of God's grace. So my advice to people, my advice to poets in life, or my advice to poets first of all, would be, as you engage the culture, as you engage the art, be very, very intentional about your growth. You must be very deliberate about improving your writing, about improving your performance, and that would demand you to take the foray into professional artists and to listen to documentary videos and to know how these people have taken their journeys from the very cradle to the very peak.
We just finished the neck outing, and I'm excited because of firstly the choice of ports, and then I think every port here came out with their A game.
I say it that wherever you see something happening orderly, life has this natural way of being chaotic. But anywhere you see something happening real well, it means that somebody has taken it upon himself to be very deliberate about the orderliness that it's enjoying. So when you see somebody doing well in the arts, it's because they have taken their time to grow, they've taken their time to improve their art. So as a spoken word poet, be very, very deliberate about the arts. And if you are a spoken word poet that has interest in promoting kingdom work, about preaching the Christ, you must take your spiritual life very, very important. Your spiritual life is that part of your life as a ministerial spoken report. And my advice to people is you have to come to the point where you know that you do not just hear about God on the pulpit coming from an ordained priest. So there are persons that God has blessed with wisdom in the arts, and especially like myself as a spoken report. These persons have been blessed with wisdom. They've been blessed with the knowledge, professional knowledge of engaging the scriptures from the twist of art. So when you come to events like this, open your mind, open your heart to hear God preached in a dimension that you are not used to, in a dimension that you are not used to, in a dimension that you've not heard before. So we are excited when we see people want to hear about God in a way that pleases the ears, that tickles the emotions, that's appealing to your mind. So when you come to an event like Penspeak, please open your mind to be blessed, open your mind to hear God, and above all, open your mind to be entertained. My name is Glofame, and this is Penspeak Tour 2019.
I know it's been said that you only got just one shot to make a first impression. Well, that is why I'm twice as grateful each time I count my blessings. One of them is the reason I stay excused from myself inclusive. So let's zoom into yourself, fee for a beat, short, sweet, and simple. Have you ever supposed that the amount of money you give into charity and the hours you spend out in church are going to be the conditions that qualify you for righteous? Have you ever thought of the possibility that all those could actually be your responsibilities as a Christian, that if not done out of love could just be religious activity for spiritual diplomacy? Now, good luck with that, because in related news, I found out that all those are actually empty nothings if loving Jesus and making his will supreme is now part of your religion. Now, listen keenly and understand me before you critique, because this is one of the truths that makes our faith unique: grace. God's riches at Christ's expense. Now, let me say it the way it hits crazy people like me. You see, the gospel of grace is a reality you step into through faith in the started and finished work of Christ on the cross, and not through our self-righteousness, because even our good works is just a glowing extension of our selfishness. Our goodness have always been blighted by sentiments and anticipation for reciprocation. That is why the very minute we begin to think that our goodness is the only basis why we merit God's goodness and mercy, that minute we have stepped into sin, we have walked into religion, and we are wandering in sin, and we are no different from the same Pharisees that have made a standard of their foolishness. Stop playing church. You see, Christianity is not a survival of the fittest. And even if it is a test of our strength and fitness, then I wonder how God's power has always been made perfect in our weakness. So stop putting up the Superman appearance, because even though that does not make you the original Carl Kent, but the ever-dwelling presence of God makes you to do all that Carl can't. Google still goes to school to understand the fullness and full length of God's goodness. That is why I perfectly understand his astonishment anytime I ask, how can I say I love myself more than he does? How did I ever become worthy despite my flaws? Why did he choose not to lash back at the backlashes? Why did he clothe me with a garment of honor instead of ashes? I wonder how he ransomed me with his own soul, when all along I have denied him total control. He lost his feelings just to feel me. Now his spirit fills me. I can't deny it. The magnitude of his glory thrills me. An understanding of his power is mind-blowing. The beauty of his majesty has got kings jaw-dropping. This is more than the testimony of a fanatic. My gospel experience has turned me to his lunatic. So it's in order if you called me his duplication. After all, I always wanted to be his imitation. I know my king, so I go holy hands in the air. For more knowledge of him, I'm panting, just like a dare. What doesn't kill Glofame, I swear to God, only makes him stronger. Why should I barge because of what I hear from rumor mongers? I know where I'm from, and where I'm from is where I'm headed. Forward ever, backward never, till I'm beheaded. The Lord is my shepherd, trust me, I can't ask for more. I'm made rich in Christ Jesus, I can't be poor. Evil people keep on hating, envying my increase, but my attention is all he needs to put me at ease. Oh, to worship you freely without walls, Jesus. So when the world sees us, they will not just laugh and tease us. Oh, to worship you freely without walls, Jesus. So when the world sees us, they will not just laugh and tease us. Now, don't get it twisted. This is not a coordinated attempt to nullify the relevance of your Christian works. In fact, keep it up, because this word needs it to survive. But watch it, lest it gets to the extreme where you begin to think that as fruits of your faith, that your works can become independent of their roots in grace. So I know I've stayed up here for too long and you want me to leave already, but permit me to close up with this fresh breath, knowing too well that these words spoken are not like swords broken, but they are spirit and they are life, capable of making every yielded heart do what it says to do. So maybe it's right the last time you say that I suck at summary. After all, see how long it took me to say that life without grace is strife.
He is coming after me, oh. There's no shadow you'll light up, mountain you will climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Warning! This poem is rated 16. For the composition of its components are highly romantic, I tell you. Therefore, listeners' discretion is advised. Now tell me, what is your definition of love? You know, I thought love was in her face. A girl so magnificent in just one gaze. A damsel so beautiful for all her days, second to none among her peers. Above my fears, I was scared that I had become a palm wine drinker, elusively drunk in this cesspool of obsession I had for her. Queen bee amongst all slain mamas. You know, she was baptized with the aroma of a perfume that coincidentally matches the same scent I perceived on Queen Elizabeth's skin at my royal invitation to dine with Her Majesty at the Buckingham Palace. And I'm also sure that I found love in her smile. You know, the same kind of wind that resuscitates dry bones to rise again. The kind that makes you so high below the most high that you want to rabababa, yeah? But I wish speaking in tongues will give you a vivid picture of how this forsaken heart was completely rejuvenated, because each time I see her coming towards me, her face is the only Polaroid worth waiting for to fade in. And I'm also sure I found love in her waistline. A landmine begging for attraction and the poise of temptation, revealing the grace in her curves. Oh, the warmth of her skin. Oh, the calm of her embrace. Like floor of rainforest with pores that sweat pride. The ointment so rich in her hair that glistens like the sun. Child, I hate to confess, but I was tempted to touch. Now, my guys, I know most of us were brought up with the prominent notion that as boys, our places as men is in providing for our every need. So from Gucci and Gabbana to Brazilian hair to iPhone X until the words fell. Honey, if you love me, you will buy me a Porsche as my assurance. This girl chopped me well, until I was transformed from a big fish to an impoverished crayfish. But you see, we got it all wrong. Love is not just attracted by what it sees, but captivated by what it finds within. Nor is it in the physique, for the things which are not seen are eternal. For love is eternal. You know, love is not just after her nakedness, but in search of her heartbeat. Nor is it in his bank account, but in the content of his character. For love is unconditional. You know, love loves to give more than love loves to receive. And no matter the chemistry, the molecular component of love's being is sacrifice. Or better still, love is the cross. Love is divinity dressed in humanity to free us from captivity, who though being one with God did not think his equality with God a thing to cling to. Love is the agony in the garden. Love is betrayal's first kiss. Love is the scourging at the pillar. Love is a mother's tears as she wiped the blood of her son that trailed like breadcrumbs all the way to Calvary. Love is the victory he won for us. Love is the sticky forgiveness before we've asked. Love is Jesus, and Jesus loves you.
Piece after piece, I was broken into pieces. With my heart shipwrecked, it was splintered and torn apart. My cries were collected from a bowl of regret, and they were emptied in an ocean of self-condemnation. You see, perfectly imperfect was the perfect definition for my sinful entity who was in search of satisfaction, but the pleasures and the lying vanities of this world still left me empty. A lost sheep who was in search of a shepherd, tossed around by every wind of doctrine, but as broken as I seemed, the darkness of this wicked world still left me wallowing in the consequence of my own sin. This wasn't a battle I could win, so I thought it was high time I spilled the truth, so you and I can be able to make use of our youth. You see, Jesus loves you, and no matter your mistakes, the cross will always be there for you to run to. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, it doesn't matter how messed up your life looks like. See, Jesus can make everything right. At least he could do it for me, then he could do it for you too. Because I was just a random guy who Jesus had in mind the moment he died. I was an embodiment of sin. I was never worth his presence, but guess what? He let me in. Memories of the day he swept off my past life have been looking forward to another opportunity to stand up and tell the world that Jesus Christ is alive. And you know, alive with a name above every other name, that at the mention of his name, every knee would bow and tongues would confess that my King is the only King. And you might be asking, is Jesus so far from me? No. He's closer than you think, with his arms outstretched, waiting for you to rethink. So please give up on yourself and give in to him. Because even if you're a messed up sinner, far from perfect, Jesus doesn't see you as worthless. All you have to do is believe in your heart and declare with your mouth. Please silence your fear and dissolve this doubt. Right now you have a choice. You either listen to my voice or you get drowned in the noise. The noise of imperfection, the noise of self-condemnation, the noise of fear, chaos, and depression. But remember, you made that choice. Because whenever I remember how his blood was spilled, I just fall down on my knees thanking God for the remissions of my sins. So you see, I'm fully persuaded to tell the world about Jesus. I can't wait to take over territories and kick down gates. I can't wait to reach every boy and every girl before it's too late, because discouragements can never make me quit. Each time I try to, I found myself running back to the cross to cry at his feet. So do not be discouraged. Do not be dissuaded. Because the moment he died, he gave you and I a blank book to write our own story. And time flew with each day going by. We still try to write the best of stories. But when things go wrong, we get to question, God, why? The truth is, why would you live a life of fear after you have known that the load is too much for you alone to bear? But there's a God up there who's willing to share all the anguish, the worries, and all the despair. Talk to me. Why would you be afraid of the unknown after you have known that the Lord cherishes you and sees you as his own? Why would you lack when you know he's got your back? Why would you depend on luck when you know he's your dependable rock? I mean, why would you fail life's race when you look away from luck and you embrace his grace? Tell me, why would you live a life of insufficiency when you know he is our own sufficiency, given a place in God's own family, a partaker of the heavenly? Tell me, why wouldn't we cope when in this dark, wicked world in God we put all our trust and all our hope? Why would we fret when the Lord is our strength? I mean, the one who made the heavens and the earth, and he made man out of dust and gave us breath, wore a thorn of crown on his head, and yet he still rules over this earth. Tell me, why would you beg bread when our Lord Jesus fed 5,000 heads with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes? Why should we be caught up in the web of wishes? You see, the gospel is truth and no lies. Walk with Jesus and then you will have a feel of paradise. And thank God my Jesus is still in the business of saving lives. And he could save yours the same way he saved mine. Because whenever I see lost souls, tears roll down my eyes. Because only then I'm able to realize that there's only one person who truly saves. The one who set the captives free and made the blind eyes see. His name is Jesus.
Hi, my name is Ebube Agu. I'm a storyteller, amongst other things, and I'm a poet on tour with Christapoet on the Penspeak tour 2019 Manifest.
Story. Once upon a time. What's a pilot without a plane? What's Thor without his hammer? What's a shrink that's gone insane? Or a hoe without his farmer? Wait, I think that's the other way around.
Manifest 2019 Penspeak tour. My experience so far. My experience has actually been awesome, right? All the way from coming from Abuja to where we went to, through Lagos, Ilorin back, and going to Enugu and everything. It's not been very smooth on the road, to be honest, but I think it makes up for it, going to different places and meeting the different people. It's always amazing the kind of people that you meet when you go to places. You always don't realize the kind of great work people are doing. So going to these different locations and the people that we met, I think that's what really stood out, for me. People are doing great things. I'm like, whoa, and just meeting people that I didn't even know would know me, and people that I really admire and everything. But my tour poets and just the whole crew, I think it's been a great experience so far. It's one that I would love to do over and over again.
Maggie swayed and swayed, but most of all stayed on the screen of my eyes, but more so my mind. Who sent this one my way? Just when I came to pray, the better man in me told me to turn, but this wise one decided to face his problems and rather not run.
Inspiration for my piece. Wow. Okay, so I'm in this phase, and it's not just a phase where I'm just telling stories. So I just tell stories of my writings and my poetry and everything. So I a lot of what I write is influenced by a message of healing, and I know people are broken, people are facing different things, and so two of the major things you will find me always writing about is either humor and healing. So I find a way to just talk about life and then still infuse, the healing message in there. So that's basically what inspired it, especially in this day and age where suicides and so many different things are, it's prevalent, and I just know I want people to hear the message that truly there's love and there's healing and there's hope for them, if they believe. My advice to Christians and poets, first off, is to be authentic. One of the things I find common with people, with us nowadays, is people wanting to be like other people, both in their Christian work or both as artists, and that will never give you the kind of output that you're meant to give. When the Bible says that your light shine so bright, it said let your light shine so bright that men will see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. So say you're living your life as a believer, let your walk with Christ be genuine, let it be true, let it be you and not someone else's. Same thing if you're an artist, you're a poet. As much as you listen to others, you get influenced by others, be authentic, be real, and just stay true to what you're doing, and you see your uniqueness just come out like that. I mean, let's all be weird like that, and then your light will shine indeed.
Story. Once upon a time. What's a pilot without a plane? What's Thor without his hammer? What's a shrink that's gone insane? Or a hoe without his farmer? Wait, I think that's the other way around. This storyteller here has come with a few stories to share from lessons so dear. And one particular story that I always like to share with every chance I get is this. I went for a walk one morning to speak with my Lord, but what I saw next was crazy, a mishap I couldn't afford. I saw a girl in bomb shorts and long transparent tights. I tried so hard to look up. I tried with all my might. I think she was going to buy something. My guess is something spicy. So for the sake of this tale, I would like to call her Maggie. Maggie swayed and swayed, but most of all stayed on the screen of my eyes, but more so my mind. Who sent this one my way? Just when I came to pray. The better man in me told me to turn, but this wise one decided to face his problems and rather not run. I tried to think of Angel Gabriel and all things pure, but it was only the thought of Maggie that was sure to endure. Maggie had been sent to disturb my mind and my quiet time, so I gingerly went back home to avert a potential crime. So that day I learnt my lesson, a lesson so dear, that the best way to fight temptations is to stay absolutely clear. Can I get a witness? Yeah. And that was what happened to me, an experience that I will never forget. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little feet, where you go. And that one time, I wasn't caught. But then another time, something caught me. Something called love. Love in form of a person. Love that mesmerizes a man and makes him want to sing songs. That kind of love that makes him want to rhyme and think about the beauty of God and nature. That kind of love mesmerized me. And I looked at love and I said, when I call you beautiful, my mind surfs the world, eager to find what to help describe what I mean. When I call you beautiful, it pains me as I limit the wonder of a being that you are. When I call you beautiful, it's not a summary but a denominator, a door to the world of immeasurable awe within you, an expression of incomparable splendor within view. It is an exclamation to say the least, an understatement for lack of words. When I call you beautiful, just know that my mind is restless, wrestling with the idea of limiting you. Kai, beautiful. I call you beautiful at the risk of changing what the word implies. beautiful to you is not a definition but a figure of speech, because trying to describe what you really are will take all the world's beauty, splendor, and wonder, bottle it up, multiply it by 1,000,000 and still not level up. You are the star from which the stars lent their place, the sun that shines brightly in my dark world. You're fierce like the seas and fresh like the greens. You're clear like the air and stable like the earth. You are my world. Perfect and unending, you are my song. Gentle and unnerving. You're the source from which the concept of beauty was coined. You're everything I love and everything I can't explain. My world. I'll never stop loving you. Kai. Beautiful. Whew. Love. Love is indeed a strong force. Love is indeed a powerful force. Strong enough to break or make the strongest of people, strong enough to give life, strong enough to give hope, strong enough to give healing. Love is strong enough to bring you out of the low place that you are. God is love, and he loves you. He would always be beside you. The earth is full of a lot of things and a world of people. And one thing that I want you to hold on to are your high hopes. I hope you find joy. I hope you find peace that drowns the pain. I hope you find love. I hope you find shelter from the rain. I hope you find strength. I hope you find a reason to rise again. I hope. I hope. Because you see, cancer isn't all about going bald. And it's also not like getting hit by a train. HIV isn't a death sentence. And it's really not the end of the world. Losing your job, failing a course, or even getting your heart broken isn't the same as losing your life. I know it's easy to mix things up. Listen, let me draw your attention to the truth. People will try to paint you a dark picture of the world. Don't let them. Sadness, hate, and peril will try to take center stage in your life. Don't let them. Fear, defeat, and failure will try to shake everything you know. Don't let them. See hate, crush it. See sadness, turn it. See failure, ride it. And when failure knocks again, shut your ears so tight, shine your light so bright, and keep your gates shut tight. When failure knocks again, do not answer the call. For although failure is a lesson, the ability to see it from afar is a much bigger blessing, I think. And if you fail, get up and try again. And when you crash, get up and fly again. Until failure gives up on you and success knows your name. Try. God bless you.
I can see darkness everywhere. This was the state of my mind. My mind was blinded and limited from the world that I drank from. I was as fruitless as the fig tree. Oh, my mind. My mind blurred my vision of a fruitful future. My visions were fractured and I couldn't see a bright future. Oh, save me from myself. Because myself has limited myself. Oh, save me from the wicked arms of me, because me have seen less of me. Oh, save me, because me was stripping. Myself has become a flickering flame. Me was just like a pendulum, being swayed back and forth, having no certain destination. I couldn't seem to figure out who I was. So I began to ask myself this question. Who am I? What am I here for? Because I've come to realize that if I keep quiet about myself, I'll be living in regrets. So I had to make a phone call. Hello, tomorrow, can you hear me? Who knows tomorrow, can you tell me? Because my future was lying. I couldn't see the clearness of me. I was living in a dark state. I needed light in my darkness. I needed to be told the truth about myself. I wanted to be unveiled. I wanted to know who I was. So I began to look for light to lighten up my darkness. I began to ask questions about myself. But how can I know myself when I don't know myself? How can I know the truth when I don't know the truth? Or how can they tell me the truth when I'm asking the wrong people about it? And just like a phone that have a manual from its manufacturer, I began to look for the manual for my life. But truthfully, you can't know yourself until you look to the eyes of God. So I had to ask my maker, and he showed me who I was. The entrance of light takes away darkness. I was unveiled. I was revealed to the world. It's a dawn of a new day, and I shall witness the rejuvenation of my life. My life that's been a calligraphy of agony and a mosaic of mystery. My life that's been in a fragment of elements of absurdity. Alas, I can see the new vision peering to the horizon with a message etched in gold. I can see the sun protruding from the womb of light. I used to be scared of the crowd, but he pulled me out of the crowd and made my place the stage. He made me face the crowd, which was my fears. Then I discovered that the stage is where I'm meant to be, and the crowd became what I treasured most. It's our light and not our darkness that frightens us the most. Our deepest fear is not that we can do it. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. So if you think you can be anything, I'm laughing. In fact, you're a comedian. I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing. But the truth is, you can't know yourself until you realize that the life you're living isn't you. You can't know yourself until you look to the eyes of God. So know God and discover yourself. Come out from that gate, come out from that door and be unveiled to the world. Come out and fulfill that God-given talent in you. God bless you.
Alexander the Great. Legend this, legend that. You never cease to debate. Well, if you want to be a legend, then you will listen. I'll show you how with these few points I'll be listing. Want to be a legend? Be with God and be God. I know it sounds like the ramblings of a retard. You see, it beats the wisdom of every man born. Yeah, quote. My reference is John 1:1. Have great prophets gush about your birth, and have a great man dedicate his life to preparing the way for you up until his death. Be bold to say your mommy is a virgin. Be born in the presence of animals you helped create. Then you are a legend. Be 12. Sit professors down and give them lessons. And make sure they never get pissed like too much vasopressin. And yeah, be a Nazarene. Only locks you'll be dreading. You don't drink yet. You turn water to wine at a wedding. Let your meat be to do the work of the Father. And have 12 men older than you stand with you in all weather. Be closer to Jehovah, Father Abraham, and have more followers than Cristiano Ronaldo on Instagram. Make the lame walk, make the blind see. With 3 words, calm the stormy seas. Command the respect of the Pharisees and the deans. Feed your hostel with 5 ShopRite breads and 2 sardines. Then you are a legend. Can you stick to your principles when people say you are a local? Can you chase the sellers out of church with koboko? Can you be friends with the thieves and prostitutes in your hood? Can you go 40 days and nights without food? Sacrifice your life for people who don't know you. Die like a criminal for people who won't love you. And still intercede when God wants to judge them. Be begging. Only then, my brethren, can you be a legend. I don't want us to be carried away by these lines. I just want you to be inclined to knowing that we can be great men and women. We can even be icons. We can preach the gospel with a mic on. Diverse nomenclature. We can use any title that pleases us. But there's only ever going to be one legend. And his name is Jesus.
There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men, a parasite that feeds on the nutrients of their spirits and survives on every moisture of faith in their hearts. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men, a disease of 5 letters.
The tour has been quite interesting. Has been a wonderful experience. I've had the opportunity to talk to younger poets, share my experience. It's great being a source of inspiration to other people, which is the reason why I decided to go for the tour, because I wanted to be a blessing. I wanted people to hear my story, hear my thoughts, and so far it has been amazing. I would really love to be on tour next year, for people to hear my voice, for people to know what God has done in my life, and for people to know that what God has done in my life, He can also do in their life through this means.
Like a yoke, it hangs upon your neck and tightens until it begins to choke you and you begin to gasp for air. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men.
My piece is titled 5 Letters, and I discovered that a whole lot of Christians suffer from guilt. Sometimes guilt is really a very serious issue. It limits one as a Christian. It limits your relationship with God. And I felt I've suffered from guilt before, and I felt if I could overcome it, if I could regain my relationship with God, I could use poetry as a means of preaching to people, tell people that they can overcome guilt and maintain a stable relationship with God.
There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men, a disease of 5 letters. But there is also a cure of 5 letters. The choice is yours.
Okay, yeah. My advice for Christians and poets is, first of all, for Christians, keep being you, keep affecting the world. Christianity is not meant for you alone. It's not meant for you to keep in your house or in your closet. It's supposed to take the gospel out there to people who need to hear about Jesus Christ. So be a light in wherever you find yourself. Shine the light. And for poets, my advice is keep using poetry as a means of talking about Jesus, as a means of sharing the good news, and keep blessing people. My name is Andres Digno. I'm a spoken word artist.
There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men, a disease of 5 letters. So easy to spell, but too difficult to dispel. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men, a virus, A venom that breaks into the healthiness of a man's soul, killing every cell of boldness and destroying every tissue of peace. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men. A parasite that feeds on the nutrients of their spirits and survives on every moisture of faith in their hearts. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men. A disease of 5 letters. Guilt. A disease called guilt. A disease that puts dread in the veins of its victims and locks the liberty of his eyes and hands to be lifted to their maker. An alarm that daily wakes you to the dawn of your mistakes. A reminder that never lets you forget the sins on the to-do list of your past. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men. Its symptoms never show on the outside, so you never know that it's killing you from within. Like a worm, it eats slowly but deeply into the core of your skin. Like a chain, it restrains you. Like prison, it constrains you. Like a yoke, it hangs upon your neck and tightens until it begins to choke you and you begin to gasp for air. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men. It is that self-condemning image you see on the mirror of your mind whenever you shut your eyelids and fall on bended knees to pray. It is that feeling of unworthiness you get whenever you lift up your hands to worship. It is that voice inside your head that keeps telling you the sins you have committed can never be forgiven. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men. It is the same disease that sent Judas to the grave, or rather to a tree, because he felt his sin was too great to be remitted. So rather than look up to Jesus, he looked down from a tree, from a rope, from death. There is a disease that lives in the hearts of men. A disease of 5 letters. A disease called guilt. But I bring you good news today. The good news that this disease has an antidote, has a cure. A cure of 5 letters. A cure that hung on a tree, not from guilt, but as a ransom. Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Jesus, who paid it all on Calvary when he said it is finished. So why do you hang yourself on a tree of depression and guilt whenever you fault? Why do you run away from God when you ought to run back to him? Just like you, I have been a victim of this disease too. I have shivered to the cold of my mistakes and weaknesses. I have coughed to the rhythm of my pricking conscience. I have vomited words of condemnation on myself over and over again. I have lost appetite for the meal of fellowship with God and with mortals. I have known sleepless nights and restless sunrise, so I know what it means to be haunted day and sunsets by the sins that easily beset me. I have wept on sets while playing the role of a convict set on a course of self-imprisonment. But little did I know that my mindset only needed a reset to know that Christ set on a tree was the onset of my freedom. And if the sun sets me free, then I have become an inset of his grace. You see, we often see God through a false lens of fear, picturing him as a figure too distant to be approached when he ought to be our father figure. Can't you figure that the same God who is the lion is also the lamb? The same God who is the God of war is also the Prince of Peace. The same God who said that the soul who sins shall surely perish also said, if you confess your sins, he's faithful and just to forgive you. Can't you see? Can't you see that God's love is greater than your greatest sin, far above everything you've ever known, heard, or seen? And because he wrote the script of your life, his mercy is available in every sin. So why do you try to pay for your sins when you know you are too poor to pay? Why do you walk alone instead of taking a loan from this rich blood bank that was made available to you on the cross? Why do you hang yourself on the tree of guilt when Christ has already been hung on the tree of redemption for you? Why don't you come back to the cross where Christ is waiting for you with arms open wide, ready to receive you and to forgive you? One last time I say, there is a disease that lives in the hearts of men. a disease of 5 letters, but there is also a cure of 5 letters. The choice is yours. Thank you.
You arrogant fool. See, I thought you would have learned by now or know better than to end many years of marriage with a mere breakup letter, telling me you had passed me your past, your words were like those of a nagging wife, words said maybe just to harass me. Besides, your letter was so comical I could do nothing but laugh, and I am sure that the Holy Ghost wrote that letter on your behalf. See, I would have replied you, but the past in your present state has overshadowed any light you think your future holds. Your past I paid the ultimate price, so to me you are forever sold to that life you think has gone extinct or has become old. And not like the Pharisees, I paid for your soul, not in silver but in gold. For your heart is still my resident, in there I have a foothold. So to sum this up, you are still a citizen of my republic. So even if you think you have become aeronautic and have left my bounds, a part of you will still be regarded as a foreigner to his presence. That place you now call your own. No matter how much you think he loves you, your heart might still feel empty and alone, because you still carry bits of my fragrance and you still stink of my cologne. You still lost after me, so your salvation is still not guaranteed. You that have once tasted my honey will come running back to me like a bee. You're just another Schofield that has done a prison break. Because soon you will get tired of running and your feet will ache. You will fall so many times and countless mistakes you would make. Then I will hunt you like a bad habit, and your freedom I will take. So my dear, where you are right now, do not get too comfortable. Oh, have you forgotten what you did to comfort last night on your tables as memories of me eluded you, acquainted you, so you think you have been set free. You think this feud between darkness and light will ever end. You think I am past now, old school, and he is the new trend. You think his presence is your Columbus. And where you are right now is like America, the land of your dreams. But remember my schemes, like that man Donald, they will always trump yours. My lyrics will continually play in your head like a club banger, reminding you of how you and your friend medicine and gang banged her. How we tasted better than egusi, stew or banga. Began choking you like that book, a thing around your neck from Chimamanda. Then you saw his light, took flight, and left me to stay in his hangar. Now I'm basking in anger as your arms spread like clothes on hanger in reverence of his grace. You think you have just dumped me on our past. You have simply erased, because your motto now is all things have passed away, all things have become new. Now you remember that he was the one that made you, and his word drew the map that will take you on that high horse, the very place you now sit. But don't get it twisted, because you don't lie, you don't steal and cheat. So even if he gave you victory and left me in defeat, told you that my place is to forever reside under your feet, your war with me is far from one, though his word is your gun, and he gave you assurance that you are his son. Then you picked him over me just to reign as your God. Had the balls to hand me a transfer request just to play on his squad, because he told you his blood is what purified you as he was hung at that cross. I assure you that very soon our paths again will cross. And this time I will come as one with a hunger to play games with you better than golf, rugby, or lacrosse. I promise you this time my words will leave you mesmerized and dazzled. Like playing crosswords in your head, I will leave you puzzled, show you why I am a lion. I will hunt your mind and keep it boggled till you can think of him no more. Hey, darkness. You see, the thing is, you have ceased to exist to me. And all the many thoughts that you have shared, I totally disagree. You see, now I'm interwoven with Christ. And I remember there was once a time my life was on the edge. This house was on the cliff. But then I lost my fear for gravity, and my feet had been steadied by the rock of ages. So at the mention of his name, you will flee. To me, you are nothing but a forgotten memory. Tossed out of my thinking like a debris, I have been liberated from your lies and plots. My story, now written on a new page by my one and true author. He had finished it on the cross. So whoever the Son of Man has truly set free, that person is really and truly free indeed.
That wearing the breastplate of righteousness, soon to guard the heart from the lustful flesh. I lay down, staring at the face of temptation, caressing her spotless skin that glittered like gold. And there she is, seductively kissing my body that is struggling with raging emotions. Raving hormones, driving these sinful thoughts home, especially when I'm home alone. The sweet symphony of sudden ecstasy erupting when a hand crossed softly across me, like crossing X and O's I laid vulnerable to her hold. But when protection broke, leaving me all alone to realize that it was just a matter of 9 months. It was just a matter of 9 months, and I'll become an impromptu father. I declined the warnings of Solomon of old, exploring youthful exuberance to discover life untold. And before my very eyes, I experienced misery unfold. When the protection broke, I realized that it was just a matter of 9 months, and I would become an impromptu father. I realized that the flesh could do my biddings, putting it into check, cutting out such sinful thoughts so I could stop sinning. Abstinence is the key. Abstinence is the key. Abstinence is the key. But when it gets misplaced by your inability to control your weakness, be reminded of 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. For his grace is sufficient for you, and his strength is made perfect in your weakness. You know, previously I would have to burn incense for the cleansing of sin. But yeah, the devil still torments me, taking me like a lamb to slaughter. But Christ came to alter the slaughter by making himself a slaughter on the altar for the atonement of sins. So I could no longer burn incense, and I could stop living in pretense. From the very moment when he said it is finished, I knew that it was finished indeed. He took my death sentence, locking out my past tense, so I could stop living in pretense, and now I'm a Christian. That's why I can boldly come to Penspeak with this yardstick of grace, telling you that the very moment when you lose the ability to control your weakness, just remember 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. Committing to heart that the only protection you need, that the only protection I need, that the only protection we could all ever need is Christ. Thank you.
If I
I was a bit more timely. If I could run back in time and tweak some things just slightly, things would be perfect. You get my point exactly.
My name is Ruth Mahogany, and I am a Penspeak Tour Poet 2019 Manifest. It has been an amazing experience, I must say, a splendid one. One of the beautiful things is getting to meet people. That is always an amazing thing for me, getting to meet people and somewhere away from where I'm actually based in. So at Loring, I get to meet new people and discuss like minds, people that do not stay where you stay but also think kind of alike, and even if they don't think alike, you are able to learn from other people's perspectives. So for me, that has been the very great thing. And also learning, getting to be blessed by other people's ministrations too has also been an amazing experience. The journeys, traveling, well, would I say it's a bit tiring? No, it's not tiring per se, but it's what I want to use my life to do. Like, I always want to travel for more performances. I mean, where the mic would take me, I would go there. So it's not really, there's the little stress in it, but it's worth it. It's 100 times worth it.
There are too many wishes of what could have been. Obstacles we are wishing we never had seen. Shoulders on which we wish we really could lean. Pastures from which we wish we really could glean. Like if life was perfect, if life was ideal.
In my opinion, I think that a lot of people live in regret. It takes away our ability to live in the present, because we are all like, if we made this decision, if we took this decision, our lives would have been a bit more perfect than where we are. And I think that it limits us from enjoying the present. And that's the reason why I actually wrote the piece, That's Perfect Life. To say that actually, that perfect life that you see, the life you're living is amazing. We want to eliminate all the negative and just have just the positives, but it wouldn't work, because what actually makes something a hill, for a hill to be able to form, there has to be valleys beside it. So it's just the whole idea of highs and lows make life. And so if you're going to just be looking at life just high, you just want the high, you will just want a plain ground, because the only way you can calculate the high is by comparing it to a low. So just basically saying that, okay, when lows hit us, we shouldn't feel all miserable and all that, my life is, no. It doesn't actually define us. The highs would keep coming, and then there will be lows, but we will always get out of it. So that is the whole idea of That's Perfect Life. What advice do I have for Christians and poets? I think that the advice I have is what I already tried to fuse into the piece. That means if there is life in us, we can keep living, we can keep working. I think that that's the most important thing to do. There are no perfect decisions we make on earth. Those perfect decisions, a decision that you might make now and think is perfect, in many months' time, you might look at it and be like, no, it's not as amazing as I thought it was. So per time, it might look really cool and all. I think that this applies in everybody's life. You're a Christian, you're a poet or not a poet. This is just it, that as far as you are alive, you can keep living, keep moving. And if there are obstacles, within us is the power to face it. There's always a way out. There's always a way out.
Touch your chest and say, I am the best. Close your eyes and feel it while you say it. Say, I am the best. I am the best. Tell me, is it likely that the spots I use, they do not like me? Is it likely that these roads I choose, they try to fight me? Is it likely that the forces of life, they spite me? Or how else do you explain that despite me trying my best, my results are not quite seen? Why do I feel like these grounds I walk on purposely grow creeping plants that crawl up my legs to get my feet all caught up? Why do I feel like if these roads could speak, they would scream at me? Like if they could grow hands, stones they will pick just to aim at me. If you lived my life, you'd understand that I'm not making a claim that is false. I hate that these walls keep me locked in the way that these doors don't open up when I'm knocking. So tell me, is it likely? If I was a bit more timely, if I could run back in time and tweak some things just slightly, things would be perfect. You get my point exactly. Like if life was perfect, if life was ideal, if I was born to different parents, not bombarded by bills, if the road was plain, not surrounded by hills, things would be great. There will be no mountains like this. There are too many wishes of what could have been. Pastures we wishing we had to glean. Shoulders we wishing we could lean. Can we stop? Pause. Can we push regrets and what ifs aside? The past is dead, the present is alive, so I would never crave a journey back in time. Now is fine, I leave the past behind, cause everything that I want can sprout from what I presently have. There's no such thing as those perfect conditions, that perfect life. It's from the dark that God created light. It's from nothing that God created life. So I would not let negative mindsets to downplay me. I would laugh if I see my walls cave in, cause I know what the permanent case is. Yahweh is for me, nothing can be against me. Plus there's nothing wrong with delay. See, ask David, son of Jayspeaks. So like him, if you place me in the bush, I'll play my part patiently. There's no such thing as those perfect conditions, the perfect life. See, we are canvases, we are stories. Without the interaction of light and shade, this canvas is blank. Without the conflict in the plot, this story is bland. Without valleys, tell me how this hilltop would stand. Of what use is our strength if we never get to fight? Without the dark, of what use is light? Somehow it's because we know of frowns that we can appreciate a smile. Because we know of downs that we can appreciate the highs. See, negative mindsets, they downplay us. The beauty of order is only revealed in the midst of chaos. Plus, I wouldn't say we must always stay strong. At times we will face loss. It's hard to stay tough, so it's fine to break love. At times, the strength we really need is found in the weakness we are so afraid to be. Jesus, few hours to the cross, he broke and said, Lord, can you take from me this strange cup? I reckon the Father said it's fine to ache, son, but do not let your spirit stay crushed. Keep what is within alive. The struggles of life might kill what is outward, but we must keep what is inward alive. For that is the seed. It's from within rejuvenation would arise. We keep searching outwardly for a sign from God. But tell me how would see it when the sign is us. The sign lives in us, beats day and night in us. The thumping of our hearts, the taking of breath in and out is a sign. For if there's life in us, we can always create the perfect life we want. The thumping of this beatbox in our chest is a sign that we can forge ahead, take one more step. For if there's life in us, we can always create the perfect life we want.
comfort zone. Roaming in a cycle without a direction. Like a flying drone, I have been flown here and there, and still in the cycle of stagnation and mediocrity. You see, my best station was a valley of starvation, and the mountains like temporary comfort and temporary happiness have dwelt. My best attitude was selfish intention. I have been stuck in the boat of religion because it felt safe. There have been so many times, just like Peter, I'd learned to play with him the game of thrones, struggling my life with the owner, just because of what tomorrow will be. But that moment he called my name. That moment he said to me, bring your burden, you of heavy laden. Let me give you rest. You see, I was not convinced enough. I was not convinced enough to listen to a savior that sounds boring. And in between the timeline, the moment of realization, moments I made a decision to be different. After that night, I saw him as light in my darkness. That moment he said to me, be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid to walk unto your Savior. That had given himself as a sweet savor for you to be like him. You see, the moment he called, the gate of hell was destroyed. And then I walked in as a child of God. But then rose the storm I thought I'd escaped from. Waves of distractions, waves of who I was, held my breath, drained my strength, and it rang the bell of the end. I was foolish to forget the Savior that called. You see, I forgot that He is the Lord, and I've been made sufficient by His blood. I forgot that He can do all things. And you see, but He didn't give up on me. He stretched His hands and delivered me from the monsters. He's right here, capable of dealing with our difficult matters. So the letters written by the devil as daily reminder of our past. You see, in the middle of the waters, where tides of confusion had risen, He is at work. He has not forsaken us. He is at work. He's saying, listen to me, you of heavy laden. Let me give you rest. Just like the old. You are a Christian, but title is not enough. You need to surrender all to Him that can do all things. See, in His words, He has promised, saying, He that has started a new work in you will surely complete it unto the day of Christ. Trust His process, and all will be well with your soul. Amen.
I wish I had some comic relief for you here this evening. I wish I had some rhyme or rhythm to at least excite you with, but I'm sorry I don't. And this is because that I wish to speak to you about is a very important issue that we have often trivialized for less important ones. The power to be. See, power is the right authority to do something, the natural or special ability to perform something. For as many as received Him, to them gave He power to become the sons of God. But it's too bad that we have Christians, sons, who are our slaves. For a son is as a slave, for he knows not that which his father possesses. See, you're sitting here, you claim to have received, and yes, you believe, and yet the devil challenges you at every junction of your life, demanding, where is your power to be? You claim to have believed and received, yet doubt, fears, embarrasses you on your destiny trip, demanding, hey, mister, where is your power to be? And some of us think this power is in our achievements. Yes, I'm a man. I'm a graduate. Yes, I have money. Yes, I'm known. But is that your power to be? See, your salvation is not utterly complete if it's not felt. And it is felt in the power that comes with it. Power to make wealth. Power to heal the sick. Power to raise the dead. Power to live peaceably among men. Power to do good deeds that your Father in heaven be glorified. But I say to you that you are not a son but as a slave if your salvation lacks this power. Because while a slave will stare poverty, will struggle with poverty, a son stares poverty in the face and say, silver and gold are the Lord's. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. And my Father promises that all my needs will be supplied according to his riches in glory. And I live in abundance. And now that's power. And why a slave will struggle with sickness, a son will stare it in the face and say, hey, don't you know I had bread for breakfast? For healing is the children's bread, and now that's power. And when a slave struggles with trials and tribulations, the son will say, my father didn't say the arrows will not fall, but he promised they will utterly fall. My father did say I won't be afflicted, but he promised he would deliver me from them all. My father didn't say I won't find myself in the valley of the shadow of death, but he promised me that he'll be with me, and now that's power. This power is the grace of God in the Word of God. This power is Jesus, the Word made flesh. This power is the word of God in our hearts and in our mouths. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. This power is what Peter was talking about in the book of 2 Peter 1:3. The power that helps you assess all that pertains to life and godliness. This power is what you need to manifest, because you and I are the sons of God that the world waits for its earnest manifestation. This power is Kratos.
Hi, my name is Daniel Omoloba, aka Beulah Speaks, and I'm privileged to be a top poet on Penspeak 2019. It's been a wonderful experience for me. So first of all, I would start by giving a rundown of my experience so far on the tour. Well, as the name implies, it's a tour, so it means obviously we have to travel from place to place and all of that. So for me, it's been one very amazing adventure of seeing new places, meeting new people, and getting to experience, relating with new ideas, new systems, new traditions, and it has been an adventure of learning primarily for me. The truth is, learning never ends. So for me, it's purely an adventure, or it has been an adventure of learning. Getting to know new stuffs and getting to know new things, getting to listen to other poets, getting to, sharpen my skills. Like the Bible said, iron sharpened iron, so the countenance of a friend, sharpens that of the other. So it has been a learning process where my skills have been sharpened right now. If you put my skills on your hand, it might just cut you because it's very sharp right now, because I've been able to learn so much within this time.
Excuse me, men and brethren, citizens of heaven, residents on earth. This is a public service announcement. An announcement of service publicly, so I beseech thee to listen and take note, because these are thoughts of war.
The title of my piece is called Second Person Singular, and it centers on the issue of suicide. We know that recently we've had several cases of suicide. Somebody gets frustrated and tired of life, and then the next thing he feels, or he or she feels, is okay, let me just end my life and so my suffering shall end. Suicide is not the way. The increasing cases of suicide should not be. We should appreciate life, and no matter what we go through in life, it makes us stronger. It doesn't make us weaker, or it's not supposed to break us. It's supposed to make us stronger. So we are not necessarily, going through hard times, in quote. We are going through a training process. We are going through a time where our capacity is built. Nobody grows in comfort, obviously, but it's like life itself is not a fair ground, we know. But at the same time, we are supposed to be military about life. Talk to somebody, relate with somebody, go for counseling, bear your mind out to your friends, let them encourage you, let us encourage ourselves, please and please. I came to Penspeak to address the issue of suicide, and I pray and I hope that the message leaves the shores of Nigeria to all other parts of the world, the US, the UK, and let the world know that suicide is not the way. There is more to life, so appreciate life and appreciate the gift of life, because it is a very rare gift. Let us enjoy our time on earth. Let us utilize the privilege and the opportunities given to us.
As the Lord liveth, for suicide it's 0/10, and for us it's 10/10, simply because suicide has failed concerning your life and destiny. Therefore, may his wicked soul unrest in perfect pieces. Amen.
We live in a world that is characterized by a lot of hypocrisy. We are in an age where people study the Bible based on convenience, or the part that suits them, and then the part that addresses major weaknesses or issues that they go through, they put aside. It's necessary for us to understand that being a poet, being a Christian, primarily we are all supposed to follow the dictates of the Bible. So it's necessary and very important that we avoid living a double-faced life. I like it when people are straightforward. This is who you are. Let's know this is who you are. You don't have to fake being someone else. Like, why dye a photocopy when you were made an original? You were made in the image and the likeness of God. So you don't have to fine-tune your life by another man's pattern or standard. The word of God is our standard. So whatever you are doing, you don't have to check with any man, okay, what I'm doing, is it right? Is it not right? No. You just need to be sure that as long as what you're doing is in conformity with the dictates of God's word and the standard he has written and outlined in the Bible, then you should be okay. Then I'm okay. So you don't really need to fall victim to peer pressure or some form of societal influence. No. Please, let's kill hypocrisy. Be yourself. You don't have to talk like someone else. You don't have to think like someone else. You don't have to walk like someone else. You don't have to do things like someone else. Do things like you. Talk like you. Think like you. Walk like you. Move like you. Operate like you. Appreciate your uniqueness. Please kill the mindset that I have to be like someone to be better. So walk with wisdom. Appreciate your uniqueness and follow your plan in the originality that God has used to design you, and you'll be fine through it all. So be encouraged once again. My name is Daniel Omolova, aka Beulah Speaks. God bless you.
Breathe in. Breathe in. Out. Hold it right there. Excuse me, men and brethren, citizens of heaven, residents on earth. This is a public service announcement. An announcement of service publicly, so I beseech thee to listen and take note, because these are thoughts of war, emotions of pain and suffering hidden in the smooth cases of laughter, a mentality of hot, covered up in the facade of gorgeous clothing. Slay kings and slay queens, even slay kids that conceal avoidable disasters in the graveyard of pride and ego. Hurricane, rest in peace, emanating from thoughts to mindset, from mindset to intentions, from intentions to physical convictions, ranging from hanging to poisoning to stabbing to gunshot and self-inflicted injuries. So, for someone out there who has been denied more than twice, rejected a number of times multiplied by 3, and you have decided to 1, 2. Buckle your shoes as you consciously nursery rhymed your mind to the point of 3, 4 knocking at the door of suicide. From your head to your shoulders to your knees and toes, I said from your head to your shoulders to your knees and toes. You see, they all have been willingly sold to Mr. Depression and his falsely beautiful wife, Mrs. Sadness. But before you give your consent to this eternally damning contract, allow me offer you spiritually sound legal counsel, letting you know 6 clauses that only manifest themselves as the consequences of taking a life that did not belong to you in the first instance. In other words, before you overdose on the pill of confusion, drink that poison of low self-esteem and jump off the cliff of life into death, please allow me make you understand 6 important issues. If I may rephrase, going by renowned postulations, theories, and standards, the word suicide requires that you understand 6 things deeply so you don't fall into eternal regret and give us an excuse. I never knew these things. And if you still don't get, before you say, I do to Mr. Sue's death proposal by giving him the right to insert the ring that eternally bonds you to hell into your hands, please, I beckon on your wisdom to become familiar with 6 important issues. The roots beneath the soil, that the grass is not always greener on the other side. And if it is, then it means the farmer's diligence is paying off on the other side. Now that I have your attention, left, right, and of course, center. The 6 classes of nutrients, going by the general postulations and calculations of a balanced diet, require to adjust your hindsight, correct your mindsight, and like recommended glasses, treat your foresight. See, it bleeds from my lips in doubles as follows. First and second, man is a spirit, possesses a soul, and lives in a body, none of which technically belongs to him. So, putting an end to what you did not start in the first instance is scripturally breaking the law of thou shalt not kill. Will you board a taxi and switch off the driver's engine simply because you have reached your bus stop? Third and fourth, life was exchanged for your life. And this life was not without blood payment for your hand in marriage. Remember that you willingly gave your hand in marriage. So offering this same life to another side chick is a blatant disrespect to the law of thou shalt not commit adultery. When a couple who is legally married decides on the inside to intercourse with the inappropriate discourse of a friendly stranger, isn't that adultery? And for singles, fornication. Fifth and sixth, every wise judge only gives his verdict after he has carefully heard both sides of the story. But you, having decided on the inside, now decided to believe, follow, and blindly act by the dictates of only one side. That being said, isn't condemning yourself to death by yourself with your own hands, breaking the law, will scripturally make you a fault to the commandment of thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Now, the same way everybody wears shoes, you see, everyone has an issue. So for whatever reason you might still be holding on to, I need you to understand that suicide is not just like taking your own life. Suicide is not just an answer like a solution to strife. Suicide is not just like it will take you to hell. Suicide will not just complicate, it will implicate 2 phases per time, bearing children void of a motherly umbilical cord. So please, I beg you, leave Mr. Sue's side, embracing the Lord's side, because it is always the victory side, no matter who is on the other side. And even if circumstances still want to make you pull through, hope against hope, I pray that may weather mark rigor in you and strengthen you upon this day to leave this note for suicide, letting him know that on this blessed day, he has failed concerning your giftings. It will profit you. He has failed concerning your vision. It will surely come to pass. He has failed concerning your business. You will keep making more profit. He has failed concerning your children, for they shall live to fulfill the number of their days. He has failed concerning your academics, for there shall be no more carryover. He has failed concerning your career, for you shall grow from one level of glory to another. He has failed concerning your job, for you shall not be retrenched. He has failed concerning your goals, for they will not go offside. And above all, for suicide, it's 0/10. I said for suicide, it's 0/10. As the Lord liveth, for suicide, it's 0/10. And for us, it's 10/10. Simply because suicide has failed concerning your life and destiny. Therefore, may his wicked soul unrest in perfect pieces. Amen.
And the Bible says that all things have passed away, and behold, all things have become new. Here is a eulogy for all my old things that passed away. Eulogy for my guilt. You were an idol, a false god, built with bricks of all my bad deeds. You were a bountiful harvest of all my bad seeds, once sown, now grown into a canopy of darkness. You had my conscience to be as clear as Jordan and as pristine as sin, until he raised me up to the master's worth. He, my Savior and Lord, declared me righteous in his courts, gave my spirit a new start, so no longer will your burdens hang from the gallery of my heart. This is a eulogy to worry, a farewell to fear, an account of an exodus from the quicksands of anxiety to the bosom of his care. There were days that I felt locked in a dark room with no door handles, and the night felt like an abyss that self-help quotes couldn't quite handle, until he made me light and made my tongue a machine gun, shooting bullets of lightning, striking the defenses of darkness. There was a time that my fear was a feeling of impending doom, like expecting a thief by midnight, even when it was just 2 in the afternoon. My fear was a paralyzing condition, like having chains pull down your mind. Hope was a lost treasure that I couldn't hope to find until I met Christ. And my fear dispersed under the fierce stare of his love. He became my Prince of Peace, piecing together the missing pieces of my picture puzzle according to his plan. He showed me how fear can be both a term and condition, but doesn't apply to the new man. He told me that my joy has always been at the center of his heart's core, and that my life was paid for in full, and so worry is the interest and the debts that I no longer have to pay for. This is a farewell to the sovereignty of sin, a goodbye to
to the several sin-sealed bars broken at the cross, a memorial for when the devil well and truly lost. There will be no salute for his fallen troops, no moment of silence for the demise of his power, only shouts of joy and songs of praise. A banner of love raised high that the whole world will know that Christ saves, that they will see salvation in his sacrifice, that they will learn to live in his love just like I have. For behold, I have become new, but for all my old things, I bid you all adieu.
So once upon a time, in a land also far away, there lived a king, whom with so much skill and detail carved the sky, placed it in between heaven and earth, set in space, moon and stars, and then smiled, because these were good. So this king filled cracks of the earth with water, made oceans vast and wide, steaming with life of every kind. See, mountains rose and valleys sank, rivers flow but never beyond where its boundaries at. Fountains fall from cracks of rocks, lightning struck at the sound of his voice. So this king is God, who clothes the grass with beauty, birds with color, and lions with honor. Yet again he smiled, because these were good, perfect, but never complete. And so with his holy hands he took up D-U-S-T, hear me, D-U-S-T from the soil, stylishly in all artistic designs, carefully in all wisdom in mind, with his eternal breath of life, he wiped away the D and the T, and he was left with us. And then he smiled, because these were good, perfect and complete for all time. See, these were the days before we were cursed, when wolves and lambs cohabit, cows and lions together could feast, snakes and bulls were pets, cobs and calves were pals, and a little child led them all. These were the days when nothing hot on the face of the earth. The days before we were cursed, we were like God in every form, so we were flawless, made in his own very image and likeness, righteously lifted above creation, and angels asking questions. What is man that you're so mindful of? These were the days when we were proud of being humans. The days when fear and death were out of the picture, and we, the saints of scripture, with eternal ink the creator script us, the sculptor sculpt us perfectly and complete. These were the days before the destructive impurity sets in. Sin had the form of evil, engraved in gold, one big tasty bite of deception, and we were doomed. See, just like that the eternal breath of life, just like that the eternal breath of life snuffed out of so we were dead, empty and formless, blind and homeless, our hearts swallowed up in darkness. This time it was the spirit of the devil hovering the atmosphere of our minds. Like spiders, we were caught in his web. Chris was right, we were zombies with no hope of an antidote. This disease swept across the lands, we were left in oblivion, and each time the creator stretched to help unconsciously. In rebellion we built walls to block his hands, because we were controlled to think evil, lost the malice amongst our own people. Soon we became feeble, and our hearts sprinkled up with hate towards the very God who took up dust from the soil and made us out of his love. See, these were the days when we became ashamed of being humans. The days when demons feast on our fears for breakfast, weakness for dinner, when the earth could quake in hate, rivers learned to swallow, beasts to kill, scorpion stings, Satan was stoned. What was supposed to be king became slaves in the very home they own. These are the days when I became tired of being a man. The days when war was hobby, killings were games, when a child could look straight at his father's face and into his mother's eyes with lust burning cold. These are the days when life became dead, death sprung to life, everything became upside down. So the day I stopped being a man was the day God stepped down from holiness, humbled himself to become a man like us, because only as a man could he save the entire human race from this curse. So the day I stopped being a man was the day I saw God step down from holiness, humbled himself to become a man like us. So the day I stopped being a man was the day I saw God dressed in the fashion of man. completely clothed with shame, weakness for shoe, cost for tire, sin was a suit, and around his waist the belt of guilt and condemnation. This is true cause he wore thorns for crowns, nails were his cufflinks, and its designer was death, with whips that scourged and ripped his skin. For these you were healed, and as he walked the street to the very cross of beauty, was ridiculed and spat upon. A man of sorrow, acquainted with deepest grief, but recognized by a few, despised by all, cause if they knew who he was, they would bow. But fortunately, with veils and scales in their eyes, they couldn't see, so ignorantly they carried out his plans by letting him to die. And after that, lifelessly, he was laid in the tomb. And so the curtains were closed. Everybody can now go home, cause we lost the battle. So the king who stepped down to save his kind died like a thief in the tomb. Now the story's over. But see, they didn't understand that death was part of this king's plan, and that the tomb was his dressing room where he took off all of his old costumes, and to death he became immune, now clothed with glory, so we could see that he was a god behind the mask of a man, that he was true and able to redeem the ones he chose. That day I realized that once the perfect man dies, the cost was finally satisfied. And the good news is this: when he died, I died too. When he was laid in the tomb, I was dead too. When he rose to life, I did too. Finally, things will return to the ways they were originally supposed to. We would be the ones all of creations would bow to, and boldly to the throne of grace we can walk to. So the day I stopped being a man was the day I gave up on poor, filthy, wretched and broken me. With hands lifted high, I skydived into this ocean, steaming with perfect life. Christ, so his arms are open wide, stretched and curved towards you. And through scripture's pages as I read through, I came to realize soon that we were casting the prodigal story too, and that the ring, the feast, and the loving father, these were true too. To this part of life we are presently stand, you can come to, or you could choose to ignore this love, walk past it like something you never saw, and by fury and fire get consumed. See, heaven is real, so is hell too. So take confidence off your eyes, let Christ restore your sight, see how much he loves you with all his might. So get up that sycamore tree, so you can seek him more. See, Christ died so abundant life we can have. Give him back your life, so you can live, because our lives truly begin the day we choose to die. And I'm inviting someone here today to die. I mean it literally. I'm inviting someone here today to die, because your life will never find purpose if you don't bury it with Christ. And nothing comes to life unless it's dead. Ask the plants.
Wow.